All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Man, this week is flying. I can't believe it's already Thursday. NQ, a very slight gap higher this morning. Yesterday was an inside day, so the main theme I'm going to be working with for today is an inside day break. I want to see if buyers can sustain the move outside of the prior day's range. Right now we're gapping up. So I want to see if buyers are going to be able to hold the prior day high, hold price outside of the prior day high, which is currently 25,685. So 25,685 main watch for this morning. We do have PCE tomorrow. So I actually don't expect too much movement today. But we'll see. We'll see what we end up getting. It's been, at least on my end, it's been a pretty slow week. Pretty slow week. So see if that continues into today or not. Taking a look at the structure here. So we have pretty much have the theme from the past week or so continuing, just drift higher. This is a near-term trend that is bullish, right? Over the past week or so, just kind of looking, let's call it like the past 5-6 sessions, bullish trend here. Higher time frames, more intermediate term is going to be neutral. There's a big sideways range, so it gives a neutral bullish backdrop. And now NQ is testing a major area of resistance in the 25,750 zone. Going to be treating this like a big zone. Really want to see on higher time frame candles whether or not sellers show up in this area. I would expect them to, but where exactly that will happen, it is unclear. There's like I said, a pretty wide zone here. So we'll see. Talking about basically a 100-point zone. We'll see what that ends up looking like if we get the inside day break to sustain. If meaning if we can see price kind of hold above prior day high, I'll be focused on just continuation move up into this area of resistance. I don't love the long into resistance types of trades, but we still have a little bit of room here. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. Definitely would be a situation where I would manage trades more aggressively, meaning keeping tighter trails. We did have some Meta news this morning. That was the pop from about 10 minutes ago. Meta's gonna look to cut their metaverse budget. So they're gonna reduce their spending on the artificial world, the metaverse. Yeah, I don't think anyone wanted that anyway. We're still here. We're still here enjoying the real thing. You can keep the metaverse. I'm good. People were paying millions for metaverse real estate. Yeah, I remember that. I mean, during COVID, it seemed like a great idea. And the NFT times, Zuck just had to jump on the NFT digital property bandwagon there. That was a flop. But long term, I would personally I would not bet against Zuck. Long term, would not fade that guy personally. 2 minutes till the open. NQ almost in that prior day high. So prior day high, main watch. Can the inside day break hold? Can we see price hold outside of the prior day's range? Oh, technically, it's not even an inside day. We do have a little look above Tuesday's sesh, but 95% of that session is within Tuesday's range. So close enough, if you ask me. As far as 10 a.m. prints, 9:45 and 10 a.m. prints, I don't think we have anything today. Let me double check that. Yeah, no 10 a.m. prints. We do have 12:30 Fed speak, and then it looks like Pal is speaking tonight, and then of course the big one PCE tomorrow. All right, here comes the open. There's your opening print. About 7:12, 7:12 ish. So here's prior day high. Yeah, ES sitting on that prior day high as well. And just right back into prior day structure. So I'll keep that prior day high as a reference point. RTY strong again right off the open. That in there. Yeah, we got to keep an eye on this hourly candle. It's only halfway through, but that will likely be telling for this morning. Just given, like I said, given that resistance right through there. First real test into that zone for NASDAQ. Small overnight gap has been filled. NQ into prior day volume point of control and current session volume point of control. Next reference point I'm looking at, per the notes I shared in the think tank this morning, is overnight low, 25,600. Beneath that, it really opens up. Got about 100 points lower before the next level, that 500 zone. Yeah, no interest there at overnight low. So I'll be watching 500 by 480. At least we got some movement, right? At least we got a little movement here. Highest volume of the sesh just hit. Little retest overnight low. So a reclaim with a second entry, I would keep an eye on. Let's see. So far, overnight low reclaimed. No entry that I've seen. It's probably like intraday is probably maybe your 50% fib, just eyeballing it a little bit. Let's actually measure. Let's get the measuring. Oh, yeah, perfect. The fib eye is dialed in, man. I love it. So, question now is that a lower high coming for 500, or does overnight low hold? Looks like a lower high. You have ES sitting on last week's high as well. One minute looks a little bit better here at the overnight low. Let's see how this candle closes. That's got to hold. So the low of that candle has to hold. And ideally, you want a break of, what's that high? 630. I got to zoom this in a little more. 640 ish. Prior day value area low. That was the bounce point. Always interesting to see that. Not somewhere I set risk against, like I've said a number of times, but all right, so you get the second entry at overnight low. Let's see how much follow through it can give. Coming into a little congested here, coming into VWAP, volume point of control, prior day volume point of control. Need a clean break of 650, and really you can go for prior day high. Volume has really faded off though. And there's the trail. Took the trail out. A little scalp there. Oh, my trade copy is not updating. Let's see, what can we do? Does that fix it? Yeah, there we go. Indicators, there's a full write-up on the chart setup in the Traders Think Tank resources tab. So the long idea right here is for the second entry, also known as market structure, high or low. Basically, I like a reclaim of the level and then some market structure to build out at the level. Get the 1 minute hammer right there. Unfortunately, it does not show any upside follow through. NQ coming back into the lows now. So more than likely, we'll wait for the 500, 25,500 before I try any more positioning. ES into session lows as well. So basically, I would want to see, I'll look at this area, maybe a reversal. Superstar, enjoy, man. Thank you. Cash today just means no position, no trades. The account is cash. So NASDAQ, I'll look for intraday reversals down 500 by 480. Otherwise, if that fails, prior day low spring setup could work. Could be a really solid opportunity based on the near term bullishness. I don't want any involvement through here, considering I already tried it and it did not show follow through, but I would consider something like this. Right now, there's a lot of congestion here with the overnight low and VWAP. Like I was saying, with the overnight low long is bumping into a bunch of congestion right there. We just have a confluence of multiple reference points. All that really means. Current session volume point of control, VWAP, prior day volume point of control, prior day close. So it's going to be a lot of levels that market participants are looking at. That ES chart looks kind of nasty. Let's see that thing. Yeah, not a lot to work with there. Let's see, Russell, RTY. So initially I had the big pop and then just chop failed now. Keep in mind, PCE is tomorrow. More than likely will be market moving event. So what typically what is the likelihood that the index puts in a big move prior to some major catalyst? It's possible, but probability kind of favors some slowness. That's the mentality that I typically go with anyway, just to avoid overdoing it. Looking at yesterday's action, I mean, there's a lot of barcode there on the 5 minute. And then you just get the drifty. With THC, I don't have access to the indicators. There's no indicators included with it. It doesn't rely on anything special. It's all based on things you'll have in pretty much any charting platform. But you can send me a DM there right on the platform if you want. Right in the think tank where it's hosted. We got about 11 minutes till 10 a.m. And check the volume below average. ES made a new low of day coming into overnight low, 68.55 area. Patience. Look at that volume. Now it's coming into the lows. Session lows. ES fresh low. RTY new low of day. NQ barely holding on. GC prior day low. Spring setup. Gabe, you here? It looks like a Gabe setup right there. There he is. Yeah, that checks out. Is it a good time to buy NQ? What a question. What a question. That depends on a number of factors. What is your time horizon? What is your goal? What is your strategy? What is your risk tolerance? S&P is seeing a little bit of a bounce there versus the 6850 level of interest. It's an overnight low spring setup. See, that's what I like to see with the spring, some fairly quick follow through. Getting back into last week's high there, although volume still pretty light. RTY looks even better. Yeah, there it is. NASDAQ staying patient. So far, just one trade this morning. Took the second entry on NQ at the overnight low. I'd like to see more volume come in post 10 a.m. Otherwise, it's probably going to be an early session for me. I'd rather just take the one and done. The past 3 days, I've taken, I think, 3 trades each, and each day I should have just stopped after the first trade. Not a fan of that, personally. Not a fan. All right, NASDAQ getting into lows. See if 500 can trade, 25,500. There's your new low of day. So Nasdaq just in the middle of the prior 2 days range right here. Gabe locked in the GC trade. Nice. There's 10 a.m. Did more volume come in? Let's see. Nope. Still below average. Yeah, this is looking more and more like a shut it down early sort of day right here. PCE tomorrow. This sort of action is like a prop firm's dream right here. Yesterday, too. Day like today, you just got to stay out of your own way. Stay patient. Why don't you make your own prop firm? I don't want to. Volume right now is telling the entire story. So this black line through here shows historical average. That's not a moving average. That's true historical average at same time of day. You can see how many of these bars are below the average for this time of day. It's not a requirement personally for me, but it's more of like a clue. What is the likelihood that we actually have some decent action on low volume? It's possible, but fairly unlikely, especially ahead of PCE. And then price within the prior 2 days range. Rich, super helpful with higher volume. Yeah, having an actual audience in the market makes all the difference. It's needed for those expansion moves, which is where all the money is. It's not in this chop, unless you're like collecting premium with options or something like that. But if you're trading futures, you're gonna need some movement. Plus, 4 hour, revisiting 4 hour now. The first test and reject of that resistance zone. Or like to donate. Yeah. Yeah. Market donations. Absolutely. Oh, man. No fun. ES just kind of consolidating near the overnight low, 68.50 level of interest. Caught a piece of the retest of overnight low, Rich. Probably right through here, that rejection. Solid. Like the short idea there. I'll give it 5 more minutes. I'm going to shut it completely down here. These are conditions where I don't really have any edge. So there's no point in even monitoring, especially in no man's land. If we had better location, I may be more interested, but as of right now, if it's just a one and done morning, it's all good. So post 10 a.m., we've not had a single 1 minute candle be above average volume. I think that tells me everything I need to know for today. I'm gonna shut it down early. We had low expectations coming into this morning just based on the fact that PCE is tomorrow. I was interested in seeing if buyers could sustain the move outside of yesterday's range, considering the gap higher, and they failed right off the open. We took a scalp with a second entry at the overnight low. For probably, what is it, 30 points ish. Yeah, it is TMG day. So I have the coaching call after the close today. Bring your questions. We'll do a little Q&A because there's not going to be much action to review today. So we'll have the Q&A going after the close today. That's in the Traders Think Tank. Snoozer of a morning, man. These are the days that it's important to recognize that it's slow and really focus on doing less, because a day like today, very, very easy to overdo it. Just get caught up in the chop. Trading too much chop typically ends up being an account burner. That's why I was saying it's prop firm's favorite day like this. All right, folks. Thanks for your time. We'll see if we get some better action tomorrow. Hope you all had a good morning. I'm going to shut it down here. Have a great rest of your day.